Welcome! This week on this episode we're going to be looking back at every Marvel comic released with a cover date of March 1963. This happens to be possibly the most important month in the history of Marvel Comics, as we have two of the greatest comic books ever published released the same month. So let's dive in. There's 12 comics released this month. You'll notice there are 3 Western titles and 2 teen romance type titles for the girls. And we're going to focus on the superhero and sci-fi genre books because that's what most people are collecting. Starting off with Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is his second appearance. They decided to give him his own ongoing monthly series. It starts right here. Classic cover. One of the most important and collected series of all time. Hard to believe this book is almost 60 years old, and it's of course been popular that entire time. So let's go look at some of the stats of Amazing Spider-Man #1. It is the 37th Marvel Silver Age superhero comic ever published. And of course, as I mentioned, it's his first ongoing title named after the character himself. And it also features the first appearance of J. Jonah Jameson and the Chameleon. And we've got the classic team of Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko working on this book. There is only one copy in the world graded 9.8 by CGC, showing how rare and super high grade that these early 60s books are. Looking at the CGC census over the last decade, you can see that there's always been a lot of copies graded because it's one of the major keys of the Silver Age. But in super high grade, it's still ultra rare. Only 6 copies graded 9.6 or higher. Heritage Auctions has sold 480 copies in the last decade. There's the classic cover, 12-cent cover price. Let's look at the Overstreet price guide values for this book over the last 50 years. Hard to believe at one time, way back in the very first Overstreet price guide, you could have bought a near mint copy, 9.2, for $16. And now it's currently at $84,000 in raw 9.2. And this chart is a lot of fun to look at to see the growth. It's interesting to note, if you go way back in the 80s, the price actually dropped in the lower grades because it was such a common book to find, even though it's such a key issue. And it took a long time to really start moving. It was really only till about the last 15 years that it has really started to move in all conditions. And looking at the CGC census overall, 2,855 copies graded in all conditions. The average copy grade is only basically a 4, which is a VG, very good. And only one 9.8 copy graded. What a classic book. Next on our list, another major key book is Fantastic Four #12. It's the first meeting of the Fantastic Four and the Incredible Hulk. Rick Jones and Thunderbolt Ross also appear in this issue. And interesting, this month, the Incredible Hulk lost his own series with the final issue being published, so he is featured in 2 important series at the same time this month. The only character to appear in 2 books during March 1963. Let's learn a little bit more about Fantastic Four #12. Not only does it have this first superhero crossover, but of course it would be the 7th cover appearance ever of the Incredible Hulk. And what else can I tell you about it? You'll see that over the last decade, CGC census, the number of copies graded has gone up about 4 times. But yet in 9.6, again, super rare. 6 copies graded 9.6 or higher. Heritage Auctions has been going up steady. Again, look at the Overstreet price guide. This book has not had a lot of movement overall in low grade. It has basically gone up about 2.5 times in the last 20 years. But of course in high grade, much scarcer, more demand, it has gone almost up 5 times in value if you had invested in it back then. And on the census, there's only 1,337 copies. Average grade is a 5. And there are 6 9.6s, but not a single 9.8, making this the rarest book of the month in 9.8 because there are none. Okay, looking at our chart, what else came out this month? Well, we mentioned Incredible Hulk, number 6, the final issue of this original series. It was just at the time not as popular, and Marvel was only allowed to distribute and publish so many titles a month, and therefore they had to let this one go. So generally speaking, Incredible Hulk 1 to 6 have always been a little harder to find because they weren't as popular. It's the last issue of the original series. Steve Ditko art, interior, and cover. It features the first appearance of the Teen Brigade. This book has one 9.8 copy, and it is the 11th most valuable first appearance comic published by Marvel during 1963. The print run is estimated to be 150,000 copies. In the last decade, you can see the CG census has tripled. There's only 4 9.6 or higher copies, and that's quite shocking to notice that not a single copy has surfaced in the last 8 years in top grade. And Heritage, of course, has sold a lot of copies. Classic cover again. Looking at the Overstreet Raw price guides, you can see that the book has only gone up $18 in the last 2 decades in low grade. Interesting. But in high grade, it's almost doubled. But of course, check out eBay and the GP Analysis websites to see what these books are currently selling for. Where are they at now? Because Overstreet is only an annual price guide, so all the prices are pretty conservative. You want to know what's happening right now, check out the latest sales. And overall in the CG census, again, it's a scarce book. Only 966 copies graded. Where are the copies? The average one being 4.5. There is one 9.8, as I mentioned, and 3 9.6s. Okay. Next on our list of key books for the month, Journey into Mystery, number 90, features the 8th appearance of Thor. So a fairly early issue. Again, lots of collectors for this book. Thor did not have his own title yet. He was created in this title, Journey into Mystery. And it features the first appearance of the Zartans, the Jack Kirby cover, and Steve Ditko and Joe Sinnott art interior. On the CGC census, only 241 copies graded. That's pretty scarce. And look at this, only 3 9.6 or better. Heritage also has not sold as many. Obviously, this isn't as a key a book as the last 2 we looked at. But still, that's pretty scarce. So you might want to be hunting out this book. And in the Overstreet price guide, you'll see that in the time I've been keeping track of it, it has gone up almost triple. And in high grade, 4 times. And on the census, as I mentioned, only 241 copies total. Quite hard book to find. Next on our list of books released for March 1963 include Strange Tales 106. This is now a superhero title. It features the 6th appearance of the Human Torch solo stories. He, of course, was also appearing in the Fantastic Four, so he technically is in 2 books this month as well. One as a team and one on his own. Jack Kirby cover art. Again, not many copies graded by the CGC, only 201, and there are 6 9.6s or better. Heritage has not sold very many of this either. Not considered as much of a major key. For some reason, the Human Torch solo stories have always been sort of the cheapest books of this era. So if you're looking for undervalued books from 1963 that are hard to find, go after Strange Tales. Again, looking at the Overstreet price guide, they just haven't been moving at all over the last 2 decades. Has not even doubled in low grade. High grade, it is roughly tripled. And on the census, 2 9.8s and 4 9.6s. The next book on our list that came out this month is Tales of Suspense, number 39. This is the first superhero issue of this title, and it features the first appearance of Iron Man, making this one of the most important historical comics ever published in history, and definitely one of the most valuable Silver Age comics ever. It is the first appearance and origin of Iron Man, features a Jack Kirby cover. Of course, Iron Man has been featured in many solo movies and also later becomes a member of the Avengers. There's art from Don Heck, also backup from Steve Ditko and Gene Colan. This is the #2 most valuable first appearance Marvel comic of 1963. Print run estimated at 188,000 copies. Looking at the CGC census, of course, there's a major key, so there are more copies graded for sure. But still, look how rare it is in the super high grades. Only 5 copies, 9.6 or higher. Heritage has sold a lot. Still going up. And there it is, the classic cover, the original Iron Man outfit. And looking at the last 45 years, look at that. I could have bought a 9.2 when I was a little kid for $28. But those days are gone. This book has been a steady mover again since about 2007. That's really when a lot of the key Silver Age books really had a big boost in prices, and they've been moving high and steady every year since that. In low grade, in the last 20 years, you'll see it's gone up about 8 times in value, and in high grade has gone up about 13 times the price. So you could have bought 13 copies 20 years ago for the price of 1 now. 1,740 copies graded, only one 9.8. What would that sell for? Could that be $1 million book? And 4 9.6s. Next on our list is Tales to Astonish, number 41. Now this is also turned into a superhero title only in the last year. It's now the current series for Ant-Man. And this is his 8th appearance. And again, Jack Kirby cover art, also Steve Ditko art inside. Again, not too many copies graded overall, only 201 with 4 ultra high grade copies. Heritage has sold a few. There you go, the Ant-Man, very small on the cover. And looking at the Overstreet price guide, again, not a big mover. It's not even doubled in low grade, but it has gone up about 2.5 times in high grade. There is no 9.8s, but there are 4 9.6s and 4 9.4s. Next on our list is, I just want to make a little comparison now. We're going to use Millie the Model 113, which was one of the most popular Marvel teen titles at the time. Looking at the CGC census, there is only 1 copy graded, period. And it grades a 5. So that's a VG+. Just to show you that there are Marvel books that are being overlooked. So if you really want to know what the rare Marvel books of this month are, it's the Westerns and the teen titles. It's just supply and demand, though. So many superhero collectors have driven up the prices way higher on the superhero titles. So that's kind of fun. So there you go. That is all the books for Marvel, cover dated March 1963, including 2 of the most iconic, important comic books of all time, Amazing Spider-Man #1 and Tales of Suspense 39. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. I have a lot of videos here teaching some history and helping you invest wisely. Thanks for watching.